5 best banks to do business in Kenya. By the way, I have to give you this disclaimer right now. This video is not sponsored by any banks. Nobody has paid me to say anything. It's my own research and my own pleasure. Are we together? And I understand again, some of you might have a bad experience with some of the banks that I will mention and you'll be like, nah, I don't think that. There are some cases here and there, but you know what? Let's get on the business. If you're watching me for the first time, this is Good Joseph. I make such videos each and every time as far as the investments are concerned. And this is a place to be if this is your cup of coffee. Forgive my voice. I got some flu, but the good thing is that it is going away. Let's go to the business. Now, the first bank that I would recommend as far as the business is concerned, I would highly, and by the way, this bank hasn't been that popular back then, but now it's becoming quite popular, and it's quite good that you can get into it as far as the business is concerned. That bank is none other than I&M Bank. I&M Bank. I find their services amazing. On a very serious note, first of all, this bank is very easy to open an account. Number two, they offer not only local market or regional market, but also international business. If you're doing international business, perhaps maybe you're importing things from China, importing things in China are synonymous, So if you're importing things, if you are outside the country and what have you, I&M, it's an amazing bank. Again, I have to say it, well, it has been there for years and years in Kenya. It's only that it hasn't been that popular until like 3-ish or 4-ish years. Now it has become quite of a bank. And again, when it comes to bank transaction services or charges and what have you, they are quite friendly on that. Then you can check it out and see. This bank can actually help you to grow your business to the next level. One thing I have to admit, in most Kenyans, here, I don't know how it happens in your country, but here in Kenya, some of these banks, people are scared about them. People tend to think like this. For example, there is a bank called a Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank in Kenya is regarded as a bank that is, not meant for just a common mwananchi, meaning just a common person, a common citizen or something like that. Because I remember there was a time they closed a lot of accounts. I think if they didn't have, I don't know, it was 3 million or 10 or whatever, I stand corrected. But there were some things like overhaul of some banks and what have you. So it's a bank that actually, kind of segments itself and kind of serves a certain number of people in something like that. It's like the same bank we used to have back then called the Barclays. Nowadays, that has been swallowed by the Absa Bank and what have you. So I&M Bank, the presentation, the outlook and what have you, looks as if it's a bank like, it's for like the people who, but don't be scared. It's quite of a good bank if you want to grow your business and something like that. So you can show up there and be able to do something about it. The second bank, obviously, this is my favorite, NCBA Bank. NCBA Bank, I find it very, first of all, I have to congratulate these guys as far as their services are concerned. They are amazing when it comes to customer care services. By the way, for your information, I think last year, I'm making this video in 2025, last year on 2024, there were some statistics that were released, and they said NCBA Bank is the bank that holds, how can I frame this? How can I say it? It's the bank that holds accounts with more money. I didn't say it's the bank that holds more money from people. It's account that holds more money. Okay, let me explain. For example, you can have an account A, B, C, D. You find that this account like has 5 million, 10 million, like it's a bank that where people open the bank account, then they keep huge chunk of some money, huge chunk of money. So they actually say that in this bank, it's a bank that has a lot of accounts that has held a lot of money inside there. That shows you that the ultra wealthy and the wealthy here in this country, they are okay with that particular bank holding that amount of money. Because again, when you're opening a bank account, you have to look at it from a point of, which classification is this bank in? Is it a tier 1? Is it a tier 2? Is it a tier 3? And all those kind of things. You also have to look at its asset. You have to look at its turnover and something like that, just in case something happens. In Kenya, we have... we are only covered by at most 500,000. Just in case something bank goes down, I think it's called KDIC, can only cover you 500,000 Kenyan shillings. So the rest, it will be recouped maybe through by liquidation of its assets and what have you. But immediately, it's like if you go to America, I think they call it FDIC. FDIC covers them to at most 250,000 US dollars. That's almost like a 30 million here in Kenya. So by here in Kenya, we really don't have those structures that can actually, if you have like 10 million or 50 million, you are only covered up to 500,000. That is what you can get. So if you ask me, I would say distributing your money from several banks, that is the best. Anyway, that's just a tip. So anyway, NCBA Bank is quite of a good bank that you can go with as far as the business is concerned. Okay, number 3, I would obviously recommend Equity Bank. Equity Bank, first of all, you have to know it was the first bank in Kenya to have how can I say it, a SIM, subscribers identification module. They are the first people, and I stand corrected, but as far as my research is concerned, they were the first people to have the SIM, the subscribers identification module, the SIM, that the one that you usually buy for your communication purposes. They called it Equitel or something like that. Equitel. And it's still there, it's a SIM that you can even buy from the bank and have it in your phone. Then you can have all the services for the bank from that Equitel. First of all, if you were to study the history of this particular bank, it is started as a kind of circle or something like that somewhere in Murang'a, and it actually was started by this group of people or somebody somewhere. I don't want to mention the names here. And then this bank actually grew by helping people, to have alternative ways of borrowing money, investing. If there is a bank that has made a lot of people millionaires in this country, this is the bank that has made a lot of people in this country, with another bank called, let me put that bank here, Family Bank. Okay, these two banks, they have a history of making a lot of people millionaires, in the sense that they support a lot of businesses. And again, this Equity Bank is known for having what we call the wings to fly. It's a bank that actually helps people, those students that come from unfortunate background, but they are so smart. When I say smart, I mean like book smart, or they are talented differently. Then they take those guys, they even take them to international universities like the Yales, the Harvard, and what have you. It's a bank that I would say it has actually, got into the people's heart. I do not know if you're a Kenyan here and you have never gotten an Equity Bank. I don't know. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I can even say. This is that bank that almost a Kenyan. If you're a Kenyan and you have a bank account, probably almost everyone has ever gotten this bank. Actually, it is the biggest bank in Kenya in terms of not asset, but in terms of sometimes they compete with a certain bank that I'm about to mention. But Equity Bank, I think it's the biggest in terms of the turnover, in terms something like that. So I think it was the first bank to cross. I think it was about trillion, something like that. So what happens with this Equity Bank is that it's a bank that has actually Personally, I used to use this bank back when I was in university. It is a quite good bank, and up to date, they still send me messages, calling me customer. I think they still retain my information and what have you. Honestly speaking, I don't have the account as of now, but we had some cases. For example, there is a video I made, and they fired over 1,200 people due to fraud and whatever. I've had again in less than a day before I make this video. That is literally yesterday. I was also reading other thing that they have now gone to Uganda, and they're trying to do an overhaul to check those fraudsters and what have you, because this bank is a Kenyan bank, but it's not only in Kenya. It is in Kenya, it is in Uganda, it is in Tanzania, it is in South Sudan, it is in Congo, like it's all over in Eastern Africa. So it's a giant. I mean, you can't come to Kenya and mention bank without mentioning Equity Bank. It's such a giant, you cannot hide it. We have a mixture of reactions here. Some people say, hey, I had a problem with the Equity Bank. I don't know my money, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I have a good relationship with bank. So there's always those mixture of, reactions like, I don't like it, I like it, and what have you. So, but again, it's quite of a good bank. How about their customer service? I wouldn't really recommend their customer service. It's not good. Why? It is a bank that has a lot of people, and of course, if you show up to any or almost every particular branch, you find it has a lot of people. Excuse me. Of course, that is good for business, but it's also not so good for the customer. Equity Bank is the bank that you go, very early in the morning for you to be served. But I believe they are trying the best as they can to make sure that they offer those seamless services. About their customer service, I don't think they are that good when it comes to the customer service. Family Bank, again, this is a bank that was started by a certain guy who really inspires me a lot. Again, I wouldn't mention the name, but this is a bank that I know personally people have grown well of, especially most of the people who start schools. People, the owners of the schools, the private schools, they tend to gravitate towards this particular bank. And by the way, this bank, when you do business with, and then they were even taking those guys outside the country for vacation just by virtue of being their customer. And of course, you've been with them for quite a long time. It's actually, even if you were to just family bank. I mean, it's that bank that you literally, it gets into your now as far as the business is concerned. They handhold you, you grow with it up to the next level. Right now, I don't know what is happening with the family bank. It's not that vibrant that is used to be. I don't know. Perhaps somebody who works in the family bank, I don't know, maybe they can, or the family bank itself, if they're watching this video, they can say it or tell me in the comment section what's up. Because, it's so much in Kenya, we say chini ya maji, it's not that vibrant. It's just, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Yet this bank is a giant. It's a very big and a wonderful bank that, of course, I would recommend one to open an account there. All right, let's go to another bank that obviously, if you come to Kenya, you can't. It's the biggest bank in Kenya anyway. This is the biggest bank we have in Kenya. It's called the KCB, Kenya Commercial Bank. It is the biggest. It is one of the oldest. Of course, without mentioning the Barclays Bank, but of course that is not a Kenyan bank. But then we don't have Barclays Bank here in Kenya. We only have a merger between that and an ABSA and whatever. Anyway, let me save you the whole story in that. So KCB Bank, it's a bank that, first of all, what do I say about their services? Great services, great products. It's a bank that obviously it is the biggest in Kenya in terms of the assets. It's the giant. It is the favorite bank as far as the government is concerned. This is mostly the bank that government of Kenya uses. And for example, if you work for the government and you have opened account with KCB, these people tend to receive their money fast. If you do any trade with government and what have you, it is, I mean, how can I even, this is a bank that does not need any introduction if you're a Kenyan. It is all over East Africa. It is in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan. It is in, what do you call it, DRC. Is it in DRC? Well, I'm going to find it out here. You can tell me if it's still in the LC, but it's a company, or it's in Rwanda, it's in Burundi, if I'm not wrong. It's a Kenyan bank that is all over the place. But the Burundi one, question mark, and the Congo one, question mark. But I'm 100% sure it is in Rwanda, because when I was in Rwanda, I saw it there. When I was in Uganda, I saw it there. When I was in Tanzania, I saw it there. So they are in those countries and what have you. So anyway, it's a quite of a big bank. What do I say about their services? Mixture reaction. It depends which branch you go to. For example, there are some of the branches you go, you receive a very bad experience. Again, it's a bank that has a lot of people into it, having in mind that these two, they compete to be the biggest bank. They compete, as far as the biggest or the giant, so they tend to attract a lot of people. So of course, when there is a lot of people there and there are no good and wonderful seamless services, then you can try to, for example, I went there to open a CDS account back then when I started buying shares. I stayed there for over 1 month. I didn't get any. When I say I stayed there, I don't mean like I literally stayed. I mean like I waited for like over a whole month waiting for this. I didn't get. I had to, give up and look for alternatives. So KCB, it is good. It is okay, and it's secured as far as your money is concerned. And of course, it's a business. It's account that, or rather, it's a bank that can help you to do not only local trade but also international trade, and you can grow with it. Perhaps if I can add a disclaimer, or rather not a disclaimer, but rather a discount. We have another bank called Cooperative Bank. Coop Bank, it's another, I think it's the third biggest bank in Kenya after this, then this, then this. Sometimes it can be this, then this. It depends. These two guys compete, this one is better, that's how they do. So Cooperative Bank is another bank that you can go with and you can be able to do your services. And by the way, the good thing in Kenya is that all these banks, they have a mobile banking. Okay. For example, if you go to Equity, NCBA, they have a loop. If you go to here, they have a family. I don't know, family something. KCB, they have agent Jirani or something. Equity, they have something like that. Cop, like these guys, they all have mobile services. So in Kenya, we are the leaders of mobile banking, or mobile money transfer or something like that. So these guys, they tend to be so good in those areas. That is good, Joseph. In case you are looking for an answer of, hey, what business or what bank can I get into as far as the business is concerned? Or maybe you're a foreigner, you're getting into the country, you're wondering what bank account should I open and what have you. Yes, I know some guys were like, hey, why didn't you mention the Absa Bank? We're going to mention that next time. See you in the next one.